Well, what do you know? After the decent looking Daredevil trailer last month, we've got another teaser trailer about some other heroes we actually want to see on the big screen. The Fantastic Four, at last. I would have been more excited for this project before Endgame, but it is what it is. The Fantastic Four have been around since 1961, born out of a collaborative effort between Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, though there's some debate about who actually came up with the idea. But it's comic property that forms a lot of the Marvel DNA. If there's one superhero team that deserves to be treated with respect, it's this one. And yet, Marvel's first family has been done pretty dirty by past movie efforts. Discounting the Roger Corman rights retainer from 1994,
What kind of a thing have I turned into?
there have been a few films in the 2000s with questionable degrees of quality. I actually liked the first movie from 2005, though I don't think anyone, including myself, would call it an excellent representation of the Fantastic Four. And the sequel with Space Cloud Galactus definitely missed the mark. The less said about the 2015 Josh Trank disaster, the better. So the MCU is finally taking a stab at this venerable property, hijinks from the multiverse of madness notwithstanding. And on the surface, it looks pretty good. Visually, the studio's gone for a 60s retro futurist look, which feels entirely appropriate for the Fantastic Four, just given when the comic debuted and what so much of the team's aesthetic and technology is based on. Oh, and Herbie's there too, which is kind of cool and feels appropriate to the timeline being portrayed. They're wearing some classic looking costumes, and the effects look really good. What you would expect to see when it comes to Johnny Storm's flame form as the Human Torch, and Sue's invisibility powers like her shield. And out of all the Ben Grimms we've gotten in cinematic form, I think this one looks the most comic accurate. I like it. Though notably, we don't get to see Reed Richards stretching at all, so they're keeping that in their back pocket. As far as the cast goes, I'm a bit more mixed. Johnny and Sue Storm both look the part. I can buy into the appearance of their characters no problem. Joseph Quinn playing Johnny was great in Stranger Things, though pretty off putting in Gladiator 2 as Emperor Gaeta. I don't think it's his fault though, and you can't say he didn't give it his all.
The gods have spoken!
Vanessa Kirby as Sue has screen presence for sure, and feels appropriate for the role. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, I'm not totally sold on the look, but I have to admit he is a good actor, despite his idiotic political statements. He'll probably be fine as Mr. Fantastic, though it'll be hard to see Reed Richards and not just Pedro Pascal. He's giving off more of a businessman feel than a scientist. I kind of thought John Krasinski looked better for the role, but I guess Wanda took care of that. The one that threw me the most is Ben Grimm, not for how he looks, but his voice. Just looking at a rock creature, I want to hear a deep, gravelly voice, or at least just a deep voice failing that. Eben Moss Backrack just doesn't have the voice for it, in my opinion. It's far too light.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. Okay, is this guy good or what?
When Ben Grimm shouts it's clobbering time, it needs to have some weight behind it.
It's clobbering time.
My brain refuses to place the voice with the character whenever I watch this, like they're disconnected or something. I think they should do some voice manipulation just to differentiate when he's Ben Grimm and when he's the Thing. It would be a clear delineating factor, and I think it would communicate the change well to the audience. Story-wise, from what little we're shown, it looks like we're going to have the origin story with the cosmic rays or something of the sort. It was done in the movies in the past, so that aspect does feel kind of played out, but at the same time, I understand wanting to establish the group from the very beginning for their entry into the MCU. I've seen some people saying it won't be an origin story, but I've only got the trailer to go off of, and it seems to feature prominently. The family aspect seems like it'll be emphasized, which is great.
As a family.
That's a mainstay of the team in the comics throughout their various runs, so it feels true to their characters. Even in the darker Marvel Knights stuff, which I really liked. And of course, we get the shadow of Galactus with his horned helmet. We can move on from this thing finally. So the big bad of the universe will show up in the first film. I would have preferred a story that went all in with the Mole Man personally. I'm not sure if I like the Galactus idea right away, but it all depends how they tell the story. I have precious little faith in Marvel nowadays, though there is a glimmer of hope. The director, Matt Shackman, directed WandaVision, so he has some experience in the genre, and I thought that series was pretty good and definitely creative, until it took a huge dive toward the end. But perhaps more importantly, he directed some of the best episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, including what is possibly the best episode of the show ever.
Fighter of the night, man. Champion of the sun.
What does this have to do with superheroes? Nothing. But the guy can direct some good stuff. Although, looking at his IMDb, he's pretty much a TV director, so hopefully we won't have another situation where Marvel's put another inexperienced movie director in charge of a massive budget and bloated production they can't handle. Just look at the Eternals if you want to see how that turns out. So, visually, this feels pretty faithful to the comic, except for Pedro, but you can't win them all. But it also begs some questions. Like, if these guys are going to be integrated into the MCU at large, but no one's heard about them in the past, apparently, then how will they be able to join Earth 616, our Earth and reality? Well, the answer to that could very be what Deadpool rightfully called out.
The whole multiverse thing. It's not great. It's just been miss after miss after miss.
Yes, the multiverse. The fix it all solution to a bloated MCU faltering under the stress of maintaining everything within the same reality and timeline. There's a good possibility that the multiverse will play a role in bringing this team together with the rest of the MCU. Maybe when Galactus comes to eat the planet. I don't know why you can't just tell an independent Fantastic Four movie in its own setting. Why does everything have to be linked together? Just look at Batman and Joker. It's fine. It works. No one minds. Though I suppose Marvel's gone down this path for so long it's too late to change. You might say the fans expect it now, though Marvel stopped caring about what the fans wanted a long time ago.
I think it's been steadily great since Endgame.
The latest evidence of that will be showing up in theaters next week. Or in this movie, even. Nothing was shown in the trailer, but the Silver Surfer will be in this movie in female form. It's supposed to be Shalla-Bal, who, in the comics, was actually Norrin Radd's lover, and the impetus for him to become the Silver Surfer in the first place, agreeing to become Galactus' herald in order to spare her life and the planet. I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I say the fans who liked the property and bought into it over the years and propped it up and developed a lasting love for these characters want to see the Silver Surfer they know. Not a Silver Surfer who popped up in a few issues of What If, and who suits some kind of agenda that Marvel is well known for by now. Just in the main movies, the MCU has gender swapped around 7 characters or more, all from male to female, from Mar-Vell to half the Eternals to Dar-Benn. The difference is that this time it's a pretty major character that a lot of people have an affinity for. It's no wonder people get mad about the characters they love being changed into something else. It isn't sexist to be upset when a male character is gender swapped into a female, or vice versa. We want to see the characters as they were portrayed in the IP that people fell in love with, and that Disney paid the money to acquire, and then change. Obviously, we'll have to see the movie to get an explanation for it. Maybe there's something there that makes sense, like some multiverse wand waving, but it's happened far too often lately. I don't blame anyone for being gun shy about this sort of thing. Anyway, despite my griping, this trailer looks surprisingly good, and very thematic. Let's hope it translates into a decent movie. The Fantastic Four deserve nothing less.